and just started posting what I could inside of I wasn't technically a realtor yet, so I couldn't post certain things, but really started creating a brand and a presence on social. So when I launched, you could scroll on my Instagram and it looked like I've been doing it for years. And that was really like a big goal, was to create an image that looked like Kyle wasn't new. And the phrase I tell like a lot of like young agents, 19, 20, 21, it's just like the phrase of like, your job when you're young is to look old, and when you're old, your job is to look young, so you're applicable to the marketplace.
Welcome to a private conversation with me, Steve Robbins. I'm sitting down with some of the biggest names in Indianapolis real estate. I've enjoyed these conversations immensely, and I hope you will too. A big thank you to Executive GM Ian Soroyan and his whole team for hosting us at Cunningham Restaurant Group's Commission Row and Mel Speakeasy, located in downtown Indianapolis within the Pacer Sports and Entertainment Complex. Check out the show notes to learn more.
I appreciate you sitting down with me, and I want to get right off the bat here with your entry into real estate, which, if correct me if I'm wrong, you got your license in January of last year, January of 2024. Yeah. And last year you did over 25 million in closings.
Yeah.
And this year, midway through May, you've closed or pinned at over 30 million.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I think that's one of the most remarkable things I've ever heard in real estate.
It.
I'm not kidding. Like I've probably blown smoke up people's backsides once in a while in my life. I try not to do that, but this is like genuinely amazing. I'll just ask it in a very broad sense. Yeah. How'd you do it so far?
The $1 million question. I think a lot of people have asked the same thing, and a lot of people think it's just through social media, just through Instagram, because that's really been my entire lead generation platform for that first year was social media. And yes, that's a portion of it, but I feel like it's an absolute lie and disservice for me to say like, yes, it's social media, and then launch a course and go try to sell them on something that isn't actually totally true. And what I mean by that is I've seen just so many like social media influencer gurus that'll create a little bit of a success, and then they'll launch a training course and they sell it for a high ticket item. And I feel like I've seen it, I've been a part of it, not in real estate, but other companies, of like, you buy into this narrative where if I spend this $5,000 on this course, then I'm going to be able to do $30 million next year. And I'm very against that, because I've been burned. I've seen other great human beings and agents alike get burned through these courses. So it's like very much, yes, it's through social media, but the reality is I think the foundation was built off of just 10, 12 years of being an entrepreneur. And that not necessarily like I've grown this huge network of people, because I moved here 6 years ago, and I didn't really know anybody. I still don't know a ton of people necessarily. So it wasn't a network. It really came down to the fact that it's like I've been working on myself and my mindset and my speaking and my just ability to adapt in situations for over a decade as an entrepreneur. So I transitioned, from network marketing into real estate. And it's like that transition allowed me to create the success. But that network marketing company, I viewed it as like it was a personal development company, but then we also like sold a product, because it was so just driven around you are your own limiting factor. And so I think that's just a huge obstacle for all of us, even me, to get to whatever the next level is for me. It's like creating the next level version of myself. Who do I need to become to have a $60 million year by the end of this year? Am I on track? Am I off course? Am I talking to the people? Am I being the person? And just everything involved with that. So it's like the easy answer is like, yeah, through social media, Steve, it's been great, super easy, super fun. And it's like, no. 10 years ago, starting in network marketing, I had no social media. It really wasn't a thing at that time. Right. And, in real estate, it's like you got door knocks and door hangers and mailers and cold calls, and all these ways to grow the business. It's the same thing in every business to market yourself. We had no money. We had not really much time. So it's like December of whatever year it was, 2012, 2013. I'm in Carhartt coveralls in South Bend, Indiana, hanging on door hangers on houses, like advertising for this next weight loss challenge, because the network marketing company was a nutrition company. And I was like, I don't know how to tell people that we're doing this, but this is one way to for sure they're going to see it. So I'm hanging door hangers, like enroll now. And so often I say that because so often I see agents trying to take the easiest way, or just people in general. We can take real estate aside, and it's just business and life. It's like, I feel like so many people want the easiest, simplest, smoothest. And it's like, the lessons are learned in the valleys, and The success I have now was learned 10 years ago, hanging door hangers, hating every second of it, freezing cold in December, because there's no skipping the reps and the work and the grind, I think.
Yeah. What was the first month or two like for you? So you get your license in January of 24. I believe you were briefly at maybe EXP, but then went to Keller Williams.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
And what was the first month like?
So I knew, like, so once I committed to real estate, it's like, okay, great. How am I going to do this? How am I going to lead generate? Because I knew everything revolved around lead generation. I have like 10 friends in Hamilton County. So I'm like, they're not really going to be a huge source of help for me necessarily because I don't have a big network of people here. And so December of 2023 is when I started the 98-hour pre-license. And that's when I was like, I'm going to do social media. So with a hyper local audience of Hamilton County was my kind of ideal target market. That's where I live. And so I started social media, brand new Instagram account, fresh, and just started posting what I could inside of like, I wasn't technically a realtor yet, so I couldn't post certain things. But really started creating a brand and a presence on social. So when I launched, there was a whole, you could scroll on my Instagram and it looked like I've been doing it for years.
Right.
And that was really like a big goal, was to create an image that looked like Kyle wasn't new. And the phrase I tell like a lot of like young agents, 19, 20, 21, it's just like the phrase of like, your job when you're young is to look old, and when you're old, your job is to look young, so you're applicable to the marketplace.
That's great.
So that was really my biggest focus. And so yeah, I got licensed end of January, and the guy who says I have no circle here, it just so happens a guy that it was looking to move from like my old hometown. We went to high school together to Westfield. And so he was like my first client, reached out to me, got him in a home in that first month, and then had somebody else from Instagram reach out to sell their home. I walked in having no clue how to do a listing presentation. And I just kind of flew with it. I was like, fail forward, figure this out. This guy wants me to sell his house. I feel confident I can. So a little bit of hand holding throughout the process. But yeah, I came out the gate pretty hot for sure with listings and contracts and buyers.
Well, it was by middle of last year that I became aware of you and started seeing your Instagram account and started seeing your social media. And I would have guessed until recently that you had been in real estate for at least a couple of years prior to that. So the fact that maybe you had only been in real estate for a couple of months, I mean, it's wild. So, and you've been focusing on primarily, but not certainly exclusively, showcasing new construction. And how'd that idea come to you?
Yeah, so it's like, okay, I got my license. It's like, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Like, how do I generate a lead? Like, I'm official now, I can go sell a house. And it wrapped around like, okay, well, I live in Westfield, so there's tons of new construction. There's model homes everywhere. And it's like, well, they sell homes. I've never been into a model home. I'd never been into never any of that. And I just like walked in, like put on my nicest clothes I had. And I was like, I didn't know idea what to say. And I walked into a Lennar neighborhood. I met a gal named Jessica, who we ended up being great friends after a ton of deals together. But I was so nervous. And she's like, do you have a business card? And I was like, no, I don't have a business card. I just felt so dumb throughout this process. But again, like I knew like this is just a part of the process. It is what it is. And like, can I video these model homes you guys have? Like, sure. I was like, okay, great. So that's when I really launched into like home tours, which has been really my bread and butter of touring new construction homes, because there's no shortage of them. You can go to any side of the city and there's new developments happening.
Were you already comfortable using social media in that way from previously?
Yeah,
we'll get there in a minute. You were using social media prior.
Exactly.
So this was just kind of a transition into same thing, different product.
Totally, yeah. And it's like, how do I do this in a way that's appealing to the consumer? Was my biggest like, I was like, I don't know, what do people like? And so it's like that sat down and think. I feel like if that's such a valuable thing that it's so easy in today's society to just go, the next thing, and it's like, the best lessons are learned in silence, when we just like slow down and we just like think of like, what does this look like? What do I need to do? Especially if you're like a high achiever, go-getter, it's easy to go from task to task. But I really sat down and it's like, what do people want to see out of these homes? Like, sure, everybody's doing, I mean, you can go to any realtor's Instagram, there's a home tour to some degree.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I call it like two different pieces. It's like the secret sauce I'm giving you here. Is like, I knew I wanted to do home tours because 15 years ago, my wife and I bought our first home up in South Bend, $110,000 tiny 2-bed house. And we always had a huge vision of like, we want this $1 million mansion like one day, and we're making like household income like 50 grand a year at this time. And so it's like, didn't really know how we were going to get to that house, but we would drive past these houses and go just like 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, whatever. We had some free time, we'd go drive through these neighborhoods and be like, can you imagine? This is insane. Like, they pay more in lawn care than we do for our mortgage, just like capturing the vision. So it's like, if I could take that and give that to everybody else, there's got to be other people like Kyle out there that are driving through and imagining one day, what if?
Yeah.
So it's like, I took that component of home tours, and that's why I really leveraged and went all in with home tours. And then it's like, what's boring about videos is like, if there's no hook to capture my attention. In today's society, it's like scroll. If there's not a hook. So it's like capturing a quick hook and then straight to the point. So it's like, my first video is like, this is Kyle Ingle, and here I was really big on branding my name.
Okay.
Because I knew nobody knew who I was. So it's like, hey, it's Kyle Ingle, and this is what you get for $800,000 in Chatham Hills. And boom, and we're into the home tour. And then once you're in the home, it's like there's a speed up, slow down effect. I kind of coined the Coco Melon effect. I don't know if you know what Coco Melon is. My kids are of the age, but
I don't.
it's a wildly mind-numbing show that you would get it. You would not even realize you're watching it as a grown man, because of what they do. And they change scenes every 1 to 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
And it creates your children to go like this. And then your 35-year-old adult, you'll just start zoning out on it too, because the scene changes. So I knew then there was the speed up, slow down effect. So a lot of things inside of that captured and kept their attention throughout, a 90-second home tour. Those components were really like what helped me launch.
You talked a couple about lessons in a couple of different ways. And from the previous position, you said that the lessons are learned in the valleys.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe back up and talk a little bit about what you did prior to real estate. And you were very successful there as well.
Yeah. So it was, schooling, very like low middle class upbringing on a farm, small town, nowhere, Indiana. Went into the military after that because at college, I don't even know if they would have let me in based on my grades. It was like D's get degrees, or D's, get me through high school at least. So just scraped through there, and joined the military, spent 2 tours overseas, kind of bounced around the world, around the country, got out of the military. When I met my wife, we found out we were having our first son. And then it was like kind of just job hopping, looking for an opportunity. I didn't know what it was. I just didn't love being employed. I wanted to maybe more so be the employer, or at least self-employed. I just didn't know what that looked like. Introduced network marketing company, and I understood how the compensation plan worked and how all of a sudden we could get from this $50,000 a year household income to like maybe one day there's a chance for us to get this, this $1 million home. I don't even know how much they costed back then, but
Right.
Every home was $1 million if it was nicer than ours. And so that created a platform for us of leadership, self-development, no boss per se. And we scaled that, just my wife and I, in the beginning of like selling these nutrition products to one-off clients. Those clients would bring us referrals. Those referrals would bring us referrals. So we grew a large network of people. And then from that, we started coaching other coaches. And that's really where the business has developed into today. I'm completely hands-off these days. My wife still runs that show though.
Okay.
And yeah, it's really just human development at that point, and creating systems and processes for our team members.
How did you go about building the network? That's the tough part, isn't it?
Gritty and grindy, yeah. And I think there's a lot of values that transfer over into real estate. We would do, so many so this was a nutrition company, so we would do free community workouts to where it's like, you've got 25-year-old Kyle running if there was a store, if there was a parking lot, I was there with a flyer inviting you to my Saturday workout. We do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, free community workouts on whatever chunk of grass a business or a building would let us use that it wouldn't charge us anything. And we would just figure it out. So it's like military, a sergeant in the Army. So I led personal training like group training sessions in the military for the platoon. So I knew how to like roughly make this happen. But our thought was like, no social media really then. It's like, how do we get people to come to us, and then we can present them an opportunity? And so it's like, offer a free community workout. We can do that. So it's like the door hangers, the flyers, flyering cars, just like the phrase was 100 invites a day keeps the bill collector away. That was what I always told myself. So if I invited 100 people every single day, I would make enough money so I could pay my bills and feed my family.
What's the return, or what's the conversion
Oh,
on 100?
so bad.
Less than 1 out of 100?
Probably.
Really?
Yeah, probably. And I think that was the beauty in it, because whether, you know, you believe in God or the universe or whatever greater thing is out there, I can just trace it all back to, like, I could go do 10,000 of these invites or flyers, and you'd have, what, I don't know what the number was, a very small amount, less than 1% would actually show up to the class. But yet it was always packed. There were always people still coming. There was never a shortage of humans coming. And it's just like, I just always go back and I'm like, God, the universe, like, something's rewarding this action. Because I keep doing the thing, it keeps growing. And the logic says, you're spending all this time doing all these flyers, but nobody's coming. It's like, I know, but I'm afraid if I stop doing this, then no one's really going to come. Because right now we're packed. We don't even have any more room. So terrible ROI. But again, I feel like there's just value in God and the universe, like rewarding your action, activity, and consistency. And I think that's the piece that knocks a lot of people out.
Yes. In real estate, for sure.
Yeah.
Action. And there's a Venn diagram. I've talked about it probably on here before, but it's the intersection of desire, action, and consistency. Yeah. I mean, it's perfect for real estate. It's perfect for life.
Yeah.
I think you can take out desire and put in discipline if you want to.
Sure.
It's one or the other. But how much for you in the supplements or the nutrition in real estate actually has it been you doing what you enjoy or versus you having to use discipline? Mm. How much of it is what you like versus doing what you know you need to do?
That's so good. I think this is how I self-talk and, you know, talk to anybody that asks, is the days that you feel like doing the thing, that you're energetic and you're motivated and the sun's up, those days actually don't count at all. Mm. Those aren't the days you make progress. It's the days where it's rainy, it's a little chilly, or it's a little muggy, nobody wants to do it, it's inconvenient, it's your kid's birthday, it's Sunday, it's whatever the excuse is. Those are the days that actually move the needle and make progress.
That's true.
And those are the days that knock most people out. And that was, you going back to that December of door hanging, it's like, it's snowing, it's cold. You have person A, it's like, it's snowing, it's cold, I'm just gonna stay home today. And then you have me, it's like, perfect, everybody's gonna be home today. What a great opportunity to get out there and hang all these flyers and put these on the cars and all of that. Just a reframing to create a positive mindset wrapped around the end goal in mind.
Have you heard of Dr. Andrew Huberman?
Oh, of course.
I figured.
Absolutely.
I don't remember all the details, so forgive me. It was in talking about discipline, he was talking about when you do those hard things, when you don't want to do them, there's actually a part of your brain that grows.
Yes.
It sounds like you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. I can't remember the terminology.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I need to get that dialed in so I can talk more intelligently about it, but it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, from the military to network marketing to today, that part of your brain must be pretty big.
It's probably the only part.
Well, so I guess going back to the nutrition, and it was Herbalife, correct? Mm-hmm. How long did it take for you to hit some critical mass? How long did it take before you really saw the results? You said you did it for over 10 years?
Yeah.
So, I mean, was it a slow burn? I mean,
No.
Real estate's not bad.
It was
lickety.
fast.
Okay.
It was fast. Yeah. We grew really, really quickly because we didn't have anything to lose. It was like, and this is in 2016, 2014 to 2016, there was a guy waging war against our company, trying to take Herbalife to zero. That was like his biggest focus, $1 billion bet.
I remember
Bill
this
Ackman.
now.
Yeah.
Yes,
So he was doing everything, every media, every Google, everything was negative about Herbalife. And this is the time we just joined the company. So we heard all of it.
And what was his point there, or he was just shorting the stock? Or?
I don't know enough to know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know enough to talk on it.
That's all right.
I definitely don't want to represent, this $7-8 billion company. Or they're going to be calling me, and that wouldn't be good.
No,
so,
let's avoid it.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny is, like, I was so young, like, I don't even know. I didn't care enough to dig into the why behind it. All I knew was, like, my wife started these products. She lost 15 pounds. I started the products. I lost 10 pounds. I'm like, this stuff works. That level of energy and excitement isn't hard to sell when we're in a society of people that are hurting in so many more ways than anybody can seem to fix. I knew that there was an opportunity wrapped inside of that. So we grew really quick because it was just like, we didn't have anything to lose. A whole bunch of people made fun of us. A whole bunch of people said it was dumb. all those people probably know who I am today, and I have no clue who any of them are. Type of mindset was
Right.
really it. And it's just like, so it just didn't let it occupy space in my brain. It was just like, okay, cool. I don't really know about that, but it's like, did you hear that this guy's betting all this money that Herbalife's going to go to zero and he's doing everything possible to take it there? And I'm like, that's crazy. Well, anyway, so did you know my friend Sally here, she lost 15 pounds
Right.
using these products. And he's attacking the company and the compensation plan, I think, not the products. These are solid. These are stand true. So did you want to lose that 15 pounds we talked about? And you just take it right back. Like, no need to talk about what I don't know. Just talk about what I do know. And that's that we're here because you had a goal in mind.
What transfers and what doesn't between that and real estate?
I don't know directly what would transfer.
Well, the success or the discipline,
Sure.
the
Yeah.
grind.
The grit, yeah, for sure. And it's like, I feel like most people, you either have, what's the phrase? Like you either have more time than money or more money than time type concept. And I had more time than money at the time.
Mhm.
So it was like, cool, like let's just give every waking hour dedicated to this. And that's not always lead generating. Like a huge chunk of that, like I turned my car into like a mobile university. And it's like, I didn't have music for years and still to this day, like I very rarely listen to music. You and I were talking the other day, like you're huge into podcasts.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's so much free information out there that can entirely alter the course of your life. And most people don't use it because it's easier to click on whatever on Spotify.
Right.
I mean, even this podcast, when I heard about you probably the same time this launched, I was talking with Montagano, I think it was, Alex, and
Yeah.
he was going to be on here. And so he was telling me about it. And I was really excited to listen to some of his. He's a good friend. And hear what he had to say, because I'm like, this is literally for real estate or just any business professionals, like what you're doing. I equate it to big shoes to fill, but like Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich, where he traveled around interviewing some of the most famous entrepreneurs at the time and then put it in a book for everybody to read. And it's like, that's literally how I look at this podcast, which is super cool that I've been able to listen to it through these times. And then I get, the ask to be on here. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is awesome.
Wow.
So it's like,
We're all going to be working for you here soon. But I have to get writing on that book, but I've definitely learned a few lessons
Yeah.
sitting here. It's
Yeah.
been great. So why do you think, I've had people ask me this question, why are other people not able to duplicate on social media what Kyle's doing? I guess maybe you broke it down a little bit, but the hook and all that, I mean, I usually just say a lot of it comes down to charisma.
yeah.
And that's something that people often have or don't. But what do you think people could do? Why do you think people are probably struggling to do it the way you do it?
Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of what other people are going to think. Mostly everything, any excuse they need to justify why they won't or can't do it is usually it.
Mm-hmm.
If I took you back, and I listened to Summer Hudson was on here,
Yeah.
and I think she was talking about Facebook Live and the Facebook realm. And so it's like, yeah, Facebook Live was a thing. And if I showed you some of the videos that I would post 10, 15 years, they were atrocious. I was just monotone, Sergeant Ingle talking, okay, we're going to have so much. I'm still giving more fluctuation to my voice than I did in those videos. They were so bad, but I just didn't care. Because it's like, my mindset was always like best known can beat the best. So it's like, I just need to be the best known. And how can I get in front of more people in the least amount of time? And it's through social media. So for me, that was like the jumping point opportunity was like, I can be in front of 100 people or 1,000 people or 10,000 people or 200,000 people at one time, leveraging this platform. So I think a lot of people hate their own voice.
Yeah.
They hate the sound of their own voice. They think they're going to say something dumb, and you will. And you won't like your voice. You'll say something dumb. You'll mess up. You'll say something. The list goes on. But it's like, yeah, that's the price to pay to get better. Like you can't skip that. But you can. You don't have to do social media. Of course, there's 100 other ways. But which way is going to be your way?
Yeah.
Because there has to be one. And I think that's where most people get stuck up on is they just keep hopping and hopping and hopping. And they hop too long, and they don't have any money left, and they got to go, whatever the other next career opportunity is.
So here you've got working on your $60 million goal for 2025. What else are you adding to the equation besides what you've been doing up to this point? Or you're just sticking with it and doubling down? Or
Yeah, that's a really good question. Social media is definitely still my biggest focus. I've broadened my content so people can get to know Kyle, because I think that's what helps me sell a lot too. Is it was just home tours, and I'm in there for 10 seconds. Hey, it's Kyle Ingle. Here's what you can get for 800K. And then it's like, okay, this is working great. How can I help provide more value with this platform? It's like, so now I do a lot more kind of like short talking head shots of just whatever, mortgage rates or any questions that people have, get to know Kyle, like little things like that. After year one, I've got a good client base now. So we host like a VIP client event. We do those a couple times a year and just bring everybody out. And then we just started farming a neighborhood recently too. So yeah, that's really the big.
That's the first time you've actually farmed a neighborhood?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Why did you choose to do that now, and which neighborhood?
Yeah, I don't even know the neighborhood name. My assistant can tell you all that information.
Okay.
But it's a neighborhood in Westfield. She ran all the data and information for me. She's like, I think this is the best one based on our price point goal, and agent saturation and turnover rate in the neighborhood. So I was like, great, sounds good, send them. But even that, like, I was like, cool. But here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to farm like every other agent. Like, that's a lot of my, like, if I'm talking to other agents, it's like, you just have to not be an agent to be a great agent, if that makes sense. It's like every agent does the same boring mailers, the same boring this, the same boring that. It's just like, cool, trash, cool. I get them, all trash.
Yep.
So it's like, if I know that people are going to do that, how do I not do that? How can I provide more value to that homeowner that's seeing my face every single month? Because after 3 or 4 times, they're not even going to look at it, like even for a second. They're just going to postcard from Kyle, trash it. So it's like focused on providing value for these farming neighborhoods that we're doing. And the reason why was just like, let's diversify. Like there was like maybe a couple hours where Instagram went down. I don't even remember when it was, maybe a handful of months ago, 6-8 months ago. No, like gone for everybody. And at that moment, and I was like, on my way up, doing a lot of transactions, I was like, holy cow, like I am vulnerable. If
Right.
if that switch gets flipped, Instagram's gone, like how am I gonna grow? How am I gonna develop? And it's like, I'd have ways, I'd figure it out. But it's like, how can we get things in place now to create other lead source generations coming in?
That's something Summer and I talked a lot with
Yes,
TikTok
yeah.
because of that whole
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, she was in it on a different level for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You project a lot of confidence. It sounds like maybe going back to the thinking about you being monotone in the beginning and not having that experience and growing into yourself. What's been that journey of confidence been like for you? Have you always been this confident, or is it something that's, as you've become an adult and grown up and been successful, that it's really grown that much, or was it, I don't know, just your base personality?
I think I've always liked to have fun and been like lighthearted. I would like to think, I always like to joke and play and have a good time. As far as confidence, to be honest, I think it was just like I had the absolute honor and privilege with working with some of the best men that this world will never know. They either have passed away for one reason or another in the military, or they've got out of the military and they're just in small town USA, living under the radar. So the world will never know who most of these men are, but they saw something in me at 19-year-old Private Ingle, and they would give me a task or responsibility or something in charge of, and I would execute it above standard. That was just always been a huge philosophy of mine. It's like, whatever the standard is, if I perform higher than that, faster than that, quicker than that, whatever it is, then I'm going to grow faster. That's how I can condense time.
Yep.
So I always did that. No one taught me that. I think it was just how I always operated. And then 10 years after that, I was able to identify, why was I able to grow so quickly? It's like, because whatever the standard is, I always wanted to do more than that. And I think that was the foundation of a lot of it. I grew up, my dad left before I was even born, had a stepdad in my life then shortly after who wasn't super present, super fond of me maybe. So I didn't get much from him.
Okay.
So aside from that, it would be like, my grandpa really raised me for the most part. He was that father figure in my life.
Okay.
And then jump right into the military. And it's like, I had all of these father figures. Some I looked up to and some I was disgusted by based on their actions and activity and how they treated other people. And it's like, I took lessons from all of them. we can learn from everybody, the winners and the failures, if you will. So
Yeah.
started creating who Kyle wants to be, and I'm still absolutely on that journey of figuring out who the man is that I'm going to be.
And you have kids.
Yeah.
And how old are they again?
4 boys, almost 13, 9, 6, and 13, 9, 6, and 3.
Are you done?
No, for sure.
4 boys, that'll keep anybody busy. So how are you different as a dad? And like, how have you take those lessons that you learned from all those guys, and how does that shape you?
It's so good. I think the greatest and coolest responsibility that we get to have as parents is that we get to be continued students of life so that we can teach our kids our lessons at a younger age.
Yeah.
Because what Kyle gets to learn at 35, I get to teach that to my 6-year-old in a condensed, simpler to understand way. But it took me 35 years to learn whatever. And we're not talking rocket science. We're talking simple life lessons.
Yes.
And you were able to teach them to our kids at whatever age they are. And so I think it's a beautiful responsibility that can be easily overlooked, that gratefully, because I have an amazing wife, we take very seriously, of like developing the future humans to lead this world, because I think there may be a shortage of really awesome humans in this world. So it's our goal to create as many as we can. But 4 is the max, though.
4 is well, but if you can create 4 great ones, that would be a very good start.
That's the goal.
What are they learning from you right now? What are those lessons?
Yeah, that's an in-depth question. I think I could summarize it with saying, one of the things I tell my 13-year-old, or my 12-year-old, I'm just rounding up because he acts like a teenager already.
Fair enough.
One of the things I tell my oldest, anytime I drop him off at a friend's house or baseball, or he's about to go on the baseball field, he does travel baseball all the time. I always tell him, like, hey, remember your last name. And I'm really huge into that, because the training that I give my kids is like, I represent you and you represent me everywhere we go, because we have the same last name, and that's going to span for generations. So please be respectful of that before you make a decision or when you're making a decision. So that's been a big driving force. And then it's like just very basic, simple stuff. 4 boys. I want to grow into 4 young men. My oldest has a girlfriend, got to meet the parents and all of this stuff. And it's like giving him coaching on the spot. It's like, hey, okay, before we go in there, you're going to meet her dad. I know you've seen him before. You're going to go in, you're going to look him in the eye, web to web, shake his hand. Hey, Mr. So-and-so, I'm Carson Ingle. Great to meet you. And that's what we're going to do. Like, this is how we do this. This is what men do in the world, especially if you're squiring his daughter around. Like, you're going to show him that you're confident and capable of doing that. And they're 12, right? So, but it's like that foundation transfers to like when he's 24, and whether he's walking on the roadside or the sidewalk side, where's his girl at? So just teaching him all of these basic lessons. It's so fun to just be reminded of these things and get to pass that stuff on, because I see it failing in a lot of times.
I know. Back to real estate here a little bit. So you've only been doing this for 1.5 years practically, which is crazy for me to even say that out loud. What have you learned in the last 6 months you didn't know in the first year?
The clear expectations and standards that you can get and set, the smoother the transaction, for sure. Getting into someone's motivation and ultimate why behind why they're moving is huge. That's bit me, not a bunch, but a couple times when it comes to like a pricing strategy or something like that. I think those are big kind of tangible things. And then the other side of it would be just to be an awesome human on the other side of the transaction with another agent. Gratefully, most of the agents that I get to work with on the other side of the deal are really incredible, have a smooth transaction, everything's awesome.
Yes.
And then there's a handful, like Jim Rohn, business mentor, life philosopher, he's been a huge piece of my life. Jim Rohn always says there's only like 9 or 10 bad people in the world. They just get around a lot. So you might run into them a ton. But not that these agents are necessarily bad that I'm referring to, but it's just like how they handle things, how they articulate things, how their approach is and their demeanor is. It's very interesting. And I think there's an opportunity for like an increased professionalism inside of the industry, that we're not like attorneys berating each other, and like it's not the deal. It's like the deal is to get this closed. I understand, Steve, you want to do what makes the most sense for your client. I want to do what makes the most sense for my client. And if we can't communicate in a way that achieves us, gets us both to that goal, then like maybe this isn't the deal for us. And I'm not going to fight you over. I'm not going to beg you to buy my listing, and I'm not going to beg you to buy this house. Here's where we're at. Here's where you're at. So I think that's been interesting. And then the last one would be just agents. Again, most agents do this, but it's like I've come across a handful in a short window of time that's like, I don't think that all agents actually look out for their clients' fiduciary interests the way that they maybe should. And they kind of only look out for their own pocket for the most part. And that really, really frustrates me. Mm-hmm. I definitely don't love taking 1 or 2% on any deal. I just came from a closing this morning, 1% list agent, because they were upside down. They were not in a good spot. And I know there's going to be agents that are like, I'd never do that. And I respect that, 100% agree. I've just got a huge heart, and I care a lot about people. And I could not, if I were in that position, or my kids were in that position, this is a younger couple, just got into a townhome. They don't gain equity super quick, and they just got transferred 9 months later.
Right.
And I'm just like, we're gonna try not to lose you guys money. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's the game plan here, and just going through that process.
What you're talking about, operating from a mindset of abundance, and
for sure.
Tell me about your thoughts on that. What you see out in the industry with the abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset.
Yeah. I don't know much about the scarcity mindset because I don't allow it.
I know, but you see it in others sometimes.
Yeah.
That if they're worrying about their money and that's the primary concern, it's usually because
for sure they're not generating enough business, so they've got to ask for 3.5% on this buy,
right,
or on the listing or whatever like that. And I'm sure there's situations that make sense for that, for sure. Not negating that,
sure.
But I think I when I see it, I'm like, that's interesting. Or like we're offering 3% on a list, we give them 3%, and then we get to closing and I see that their clients bring another 0.5%. Again, I don't know all of the inner workings of what happened. I don't know. But it's always just like, that's interesting. Like, wonder why that is. Like, is it scarcity mindset? Is that they're not doing enough deals? This extra $2,000 is going to make a huge impact on them. And if so, like, cool. Like I'm happy for that. As long as it's not putting this person who you're their fiduciary in a worse position, which the couple times I've seen it, it usually puts the buyer or the seller in a worse position, right, and helps the agent more. So
you talked about setting expectations. How do you go about setting expectations in a different fashion? Or tell me maybe a little bit about your process in working with sellers and listings versus buyers.
Yeah. It's really, I would say setting expectations is getting super clear on what they're looking for, why they want to have it, why they want the certain features of the home, I feel like it's just so encompassing. I couldn't like give you a pitch or presentation on it because it's so, and I think it's a skill set that can be developed, is to be so personable. You can just adapt to the flow of a conversation. I still to this day, I don't have like a listing template, a listing script. Like I've got, here's, this whatever 15-page book that goes over the selling process, the buying process, depending on the person. I don't go over it. I'm like, hey, if you're bored, like check this out. There's a ton of great info in here. I'm not going to cover this with you today. I'm going to talk to you and go through what your goals are, get clarity on your timelines. Why do you want to be in this area? Why are you even selling right now? I go to a listing appointment. I'll try to talk them out of selling. Like, okay, Steve, like, we want to sell. Like, why exactly are we looking to move right now? I mean, interest rates are at 7%. You're at a 3.2 right now. Home is beautiful. It's immaculate condition. What's going on? And so then they just start telling me all of the things of why they need to sell. Because a lot of the times you go to a listing appointment, if you don't really know them, which again, on social media, like, I don't know a lot of these people, most of them. And I go in this first time meeting them, and I know that their guard is usually going to be up, viewing me as a salesman.
Right.
Or even buyers too. Walking in, I got to explain to them, I work for you. I don't work for this builder. Everything that you and I say is we're going to keep that between us. And then I'm going to use this information to go get us the best deal on this new home or whatever is going on here. Yeah.
So talking maybe a little bit with you about some of the functions of being a realtor. What are the parts that you like and what don't you like? So let's talk about negotiation.
Yeah.
Tell me about the way you approach a negotiation for price.
Yeah. I just pick up the phone, make a call or shoot a text. I don't love just like the counter. And so an example, we just had one of my listings they submitted an offer way below list price, and they asked for full compensation of 3%. And I was like, great. Like this, I already know this isn't going to work. Before I even talked to my clients, I just picked up the phone call. Hey, so-and-so, it's Kyle Ingle, got your offer, appreciate it a ton. Everything looks clean. Like the price, I just know right now this price isn't going to work for us. I'm not asking you to say like what your top dollar is, but like if we counter back, are we going to be in the play in this game? Like, if I come back at, let's say 620 and they're at 605, like if I come back at 620, are you guys going to like counter us back and we can go back and forth for a little bit? Or is this going to be too high, like automatic no? I just want to get clarity. Like, let's save everybody time. Like, if I'm going to send you back at 620 and you already know it's a no, then let's just not do it at all. Appreciate the offer, or we'll come in lower after I talk to my client, see what we want to do. So I think just picking up the phone and having a convo is wildly helpful, and it saves everybody so much time and headache.
How often do you think, what's your success rate of the agent answering?
Oh, low. Yeah, low.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why aren't more agents answering the damn phone?
Well, unfortunately, the data would support they're not busy doing real estate.
Right. Maybe they're busy doing something else.
They're doing something else. I think we're in a phoneless society. I mean, guilty myself, for sure. I'm not going to answer them at the dinner table, but I try to answer every time I get a phone call. But also, I think there's a framework where you can set it up to increase your answer rate. Is like you send them a text first. Text comes through. Hey, Steve, it's Kyle Ingle with Keller Williams. Just wanted to touch base on the offer you just submitted. You free for a quick 2-minute phone call? Yep, I'm free. Cool. Ring, ring. They pick up right away, and we go through the convo. So that dramatically increases the answer rate, especially when you get into like, I'm in this between generation stage to where like people my age and lower don't talk on the phone very often, right? It's very text driven.
Yeah.
People just above my age and older, they're the ones that pick it up and don't text me. So it's like, and so that frustrates me. I'm 35, and it's like, if I just get a phone call, somebody's calling me, like I don't have their number saved, I don't know who it is, I'm not going to answer it. And if it's an agent, they leave me a voicemail, and it's like, hey Kyle, it's Steve, call me back when you need a chance. I'm like, what do you want? Like, what are you calling me for?
That's annoying.
What do you need? Give me some more info. I feel like, if my doctor calls me, he's like, hey, call us back. I'm like, I'm freaking out. Like, give me some context about what?
Yes.
So I just think there's a training opportunity inside everybody, maybe the younger generation and the older generation, of how to bridge the gap and meet in the middle. That's just simply not thought about enough to be trained, and it can get overlooked and decrease the answer rate.
The inspection process can get hairy for a lot of transactions. How do you go about managing it?
Yeah. Inspection process, just every deal is going to be different, of course. But for the most part,
And you're selling a lot of new.
Yeah.
That changes.
It does.
To an extent.
Yeah, it does. The beauty of new construction is we get an inspection report and I say, here you go, fix all this stuff.
Right.
I've done so much new construction. I gratefully have a lot of VPs and a lot of people inside of a lot of these companies know my name, know who I am. Right. And so when my clients do have a problem, I'm able to and they're not getting solved in a timely manner. I always tell my clients, like, look, at the end of the day, you have to go through this warranty system on a new construction. You have to go through this. You have to go through these steps. In the event things are not getting resolved in a respectable, timely manner, let me know so I can get involved and I can make a couple phone calls, and 24 hours later, whatever the issue is typically fixed or repaired, or at least they know what's happening next. When it comes to like resale homes or my listings, it's very much dependent on a handful of things, right? It's like, what's the offer? If I'm the listing agent, what was our offer? Did they give us a crappy offer and we accepted it? Then we're probably not going to be as kind on inspection response items that we're willing to do. We're going to stay right inside of that, like kind of overall safety and structure of the home and its inhabitants. And like, if it's, what is it? What I see, the drain line on a washer and dryer. That's saying, I think it's on every inspection report.
Right.
It's like a low loop instead of a high loop. And it's like, we're not going to fix that. We're not going to do that. That's not impacting the safety and structure of the home. It's fine. So I think it's so situationally dependent. But again, what I've learned is anytime you're communicating with somebody, I can't remember the stats, but it was like 90% astronomical number. It's like, if you give someone a reason why you're asking for this or saying this, it increases the probability of them agreeing to it significantly.
Yes.
And so it's like, hey, Steve, just want to let you know, appreciate the offer. Everything looked really great. I know you asked for 3%, but just a heads up, we're only able to offer 2.25 because X, Y, Z, or 2.5, whatever it is. And I just give them an answer, and their like emotional connection to whatever is going on here, some psychological thing, is now they understand. I think if you give them a muddy answer that creates a cloudy thought, and now they're like, well, I bet the agent listing it's probably getting 3.5%. That's why he's only giving me 2.5%. And they create all these stories inside of what's going on. And usually it's not the case. There's a reason. So giving reasonings, I think, helps a ton.
What's a hot take you have about real estate that not everybody would share?
A hot take. I don't know.
Where do you think the future is going to go with real estate?
That's a good question. I think a handful of agents are going to continue to take an unfair share amount of business. Not that it's unfair to anybody, but the marketplace determines what is fair and unfair. I think that it's a low barrier of entry. Same thing I dealt with in network marketing. Low barrier of entry. Anybody can get a license, take a couple courses, spend a couple weeks or a month or whatever, and get your license. And then there's your professional development where you learn how to fill the forms and the documents and you learn about the real estate profession. And there's the personal development portion, which could be more important than the professional development. And I think that's where a lot of people lack. And I think that's the catalyst that allows the professional growth to happen. And so I think I'm going to continue taking a significant portion of market share because people say a lot, there's enough for all of us to go around. I have an abundant mindset, believe me, I agree. But just so you know, if you're basing the data, if you look at the data of how many homes sold and you say, well, there's enough for us to all sell, I don't know what the number is, 10 homes each.
Right.
And most agents would be like, if I could sell 10 homes a year, that'd be unbelievable. That's $100,000 a year maybe, depending on the price point of the home. It's like, yeah, but I'm taking 110. So somebody's not going to eat this year if they're counting on those 10. Like I love you, but like this is the game of business. So I think really stepping into this not as a hobby, but as like this is what I'm going to do and like line in the sand and make a commitment to it, while staying professional. Like I would never say that to somebody.
I know what you mean.
But like while staying professional and cohesive during a transaction, and then it's like you just have more growth opportunities. I think inside of that.
What's the best piece of business advice you've ever been given?
Work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
That's been a running theme with what you've talked about here today.
Not a surprising answer. You know that.
Well, who gave you that advice?
That's Jim Rohn.
Okay.
Yeah, Jim Rohn. Again, like my car was a mobile university for 5 years straight, probably, of just Jim Rohn, Jim Rohn, Jim Rohn, Jim Rohn, Jim Rohn, constantly. Even to this day, I try to go back and get reminded of some of his teachings and stuff. As a Man Thinketh is an incredible book by James Allen. And it's just like these things, like how you think about yourself and talk about yourself, like to yourself up here is how the world is going to see you. So if you're somebody that's negative and it's always raining in your head and it's always this and it's always a problem and this always happens to me, then it's going to keep always happening to you until you decide not anymore. Right? Anytime anybody asks me, we've laughed about this a couple of times the last couple of weeks, like, how you doing? Hey, I'm amazing. And it's like, are you really amazing?
Always good.
Always good. Are you really? And it's like, yeah, but if I wasn't, you wouldn't care. Respectfully, not you. No, generally, you're in the store, and I'm like, but also these are all little nuggets of value provided to lighten someone else's day. The cashier at 7-Eleven probably got a rough go at life, and it's like, he's like, how you doing? And she's in a wheelchair behind the counter. And it's like, I'm amazing. How are you? Every time they laugh. They're like, well, I'm good too, I guess. Like they just have to, you can't not feel good when someone brings you that energy. Yeah. Versus like, oh man, I'm all right. It's raining out. I got a busy day today. And it's like, low level vibration stuff brings everybody down. And so it's like, yeah, I've got my problems, but the world doesn't care. The economy doesn't care. The marketplace doesn't care. My wife cares. So like that's what I talk to him about.
Right.
And that's pretty much stays about right there.
Okay. What do you want your next 18 months to look like?
Filled with continued abundance and growth opportunities across the board, right? A continued thriving marriage, continued up-leveling of my parenting, continued growth in real estate, all the things that you'd probably think of. I think that I want to get into something that's longer term, some kind of level of ownership of brokerage or something where I have the opportunity to build and scale something while developing human beings. and teaching them that, okay, you're 32 years old before, somebody's going to call you and they're probably going to be 60. Like just teaching all these things we've kind of just chatted about and like going in depth with some of this stuff, and then wrapping all of that up with just continuing to be an absolute sponge and learning, because there's a whole world of stuff I am clueless on that I'm excited to learn and grow into.
You've done a lot in a little bit of time. I'm really curious to see what it looks like in 10 years.
Yeah, that's a tough vision.
It's tough.
I was with a very successful person, a couple weeks ago, a month ago, and she normally flies. She's got a private jet, and so she normally flies private. And she's like, "Oh, like I'll take you to the airport after this event." I was like, "Okay." Like, partially, I was like, maybe she's just dropping me off. And we're in San Antonio. She gets out and she's got her stuff, and we're walking through. I'm like, Linda, like, don't you fly private? She's like, yeah. She's like, my husband's got it this weekend. She's like, he went fishing this weekend, so he took the private jet fishing.
Wow.
She's like, and it's a shorter drive for me than it is for him, with going to the airport and stuff like that. I was like, wow. And I was like, it's one of my goals to be able to. I've got a really tight friend group. My absolute best friends, all of our kids. It's like aunts and uncles is what they call them, but they're not related by any means. And it's like, it's one of my biggest goals is to create enough wealth to where I don't have to blink at the fact that I can book a private jet and take all of us to Hawaii, and I don't have to send Venmo requests of like, you owe me 10 grand or anything like that. It's just book it, let's roll. That's why I work so hard, is to create experiences and memories with my best friends, my family. And I was telling her that. She just looks at me, she's like, why don't you always fly private? And I just laughed. Like, Linda, my vision is not there yet.
Right.
As we're going through TSA, I'm like, hey, Linda, you can't take that water. You can't take that soda. You got to take that stuff out. Like, teaching her how to fly.
She's roughing it.
Right, for sure. She's like, I always forget about that.
Well,
so
that's just like that $1 million house that you always said you were going to get.
Yeah.
Now it's a private jet.
Yeah. I don't know about getting. I still don't have that vision.
Well, we'll see.
I could have a vision of the $1 million house.
You're right.
I don't have a vision of a PJ.
I like to ask everybody what music they're listening to. You said you're going to a country music festival coming up here. Is country your favorite type?
I'd say it's probably trends to be, but it depends. Like, I could go from like Blink 182 to Morgan Wallen to Drake to Kendrick to, I've got a variety. My wife used to be a rock and roll radio DJ.
Wow.
Many moons ago. And so we've got a huge just abundance of music. I like musicians. I think I would say that.
Like who?
Just anybody that performs,
I see
right?
what you mean.
Like Papa Roach. I love Papa Roach. I don't listen to him a ton. That's the whole challenge. You get into mindset wise, right? I'm like, positive mindset. It's like, there's a lot of songs out there not conducive of a positive life. Doesn't matter the genre.
That's true.
So,
but those songs have a time and a place.
Yeah, I use them sparingly for sure. They get you motivated, or they're good when you're sad and you just want to get your feelings out, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
So if you're in the car, if you're not on the phone, are you more likely to be listening to music or a podcast?
Usually like Alex Hormozy. Right now I'm listening to like a lot of Gary Keller, Tim Ferriss podcast, all of the ones you probably listen to just to try to learn. I think it's the easiest thing to do, and the easiest thing not to do is continued education, and not the required kind by Mybor or whoever. It's like the continued education that actually grows you as a human being is the difference maker. That's easy to do, and it's easier not to do. So making that decision to switch off the Drake and put on this podcast.
Well, thanks for being a patron of it.
Yeah.
It's you're only going to add to the library, that's for sure. What'd you take away from Alex Montagano's being that he's a friend? Did you learn anything there?
Yeah, for sure. It's been so long since I listened to that, but I mean, very similar mindset of just like gritty tenacity. I'm gonna do it. We both had our failings in different areas. I remember his the first house, and there's a gas leak or something like that. To the partying and like that, the life he lived. I think it's all relative. Like a lot of people can attach themselves to Kyle's story. It's like, well, I wasn't in the military. Well, I didn't do network marketing. Well, I never had a social media. And they just start creating these excuses of why they can't because, well, I'm not like Kyle. And it's like, you have a story. The last thing this world needs is for there to be another Kyle, another Steve, another Alex. It needs the world to be you, the you were put here to be, and your story and your journey is your own. And you might think, mine, it's not that bad. I was never in the military. I never lived in this trashy duplex like Alex with a gas leak or whatever it was. It's like, right, but you had something that's going to resonate with someone.
Right.
And only by sharing your story and creating success through that story are you going to have that story shared.
Well, we haven't really talked much about whatever failings you have had. So what's been something that you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, a ton, right? It's like I grew up without a father, so I didn't know how to be a dad. Had no clue how to be a dad. Gratefully, say it again, I've got the most amazing wife in the world, who is not only a wife, but she's a mentor, a coach, all to me. It's like private. I should pay her way more than I do. She lives well, trust me.
She's done pretty well for herself,
for
too.
sure. Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Come a long way from being a rock and roll DJ.
Yeah. 30 grand a year as a rock and roll DJ. She has no budget, right?
Right.
She doesn't have a budget. Whatever you want to do, like, I know she's amazing. I know she's not going to go buy something dumb.
Right.
So it's like, if we're out of money, then I'm not working hard enough, because I'm the problem here, because you deserve it all. So anyway, I failed at, being a father. I've failed at being a husband. I've failed at being a leader. I've failed. I could just go on, but thus is the greatest lessons. Like, that's where I learned the most, is literally like, I don't know how to be a dad. It's like, okay, well, how do you be a dad? It's like, I don't know, probably get around other dads, probably read some books about how to be a dad, figure out what resonates with you. I don't know how to manage my money. Cool, what should you do? I think so many people get stuck in the problem versus I live a no problem mindset. It's like, what's the problem? The problem is this. Great. Let's list out 3 solutions and figure out which one sounds best for us to do right now. Great. Okay, go take action. Whereas most people just sit right here and stay there forever, and they're not sure why it always happens to them, or they're just not lucky. I failed in every way that you could fail. I've failed at, and that is how I've grown and how I've become, and how I refuse to fail in those areas again. It's like, learn the lesson, change the outcome. Let's move forward.
Kyle, thank you so much for sitting down and having a
Appreciate your
conversation with
time.
me. You can't wait to see what the next few years looks like.
It'll be a fun ride.
It will
Grateful
be.
for it all.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.